We are going to focus on the hero's journey now. We've talked about the different character archetypes. Now we're going to hone in on one of the situational ones. Any story that has a hero in it is going to have a journey that the hero has to travel through in order to get to the end of his or her story. Whether it ends well or it does not, it doesn't matter. He still has a journey that he has to travel through. As we go through the notes, you will need to write all of these down to keep in your folder. Um, Make sure that you pause from slide to slide so that you can get everything that I've put on there because I put it on there for you to have. I know this, so it's not for me. So, the first aspect or the first kind of place that a hero starts is the status quo. This is his or her life at the beginning of the story. It's their normal everyday life that they have when the story opens before any journey even starts. It's called the status quo. The second is the call to adventure. This is what causes the hero to start his or her journey in this story. It originates from a problem or an interruption in his or her status quo. It can be something that they decide to do, or it can be something that is kind of thrust upon them that needs to be completed, or the world's going to end, or someone's going to die, or something of that nature. The next is the refusal to the call. A lot of times, excuse me, the hero refuses to go on the journey at the beginning or is reluctant to go. No, somebody can do this better than I can. No, there really isn't a need for this, or something similar to that. It's too dangerous. I don't want to put myself at risk. However, he or she has to find a need, or does find a need, or is thrust into the action by an event or character. So if they're reluctant to go join the war, but somebody is kidnapped and they want to go free them, then they're kind of forced into that battle, that war to save the person that they like or love or who are married to, or for whatever reason. That's just an example. They kind of get dragged in if they don't have the call to action, like initially inside of them. It has to come from someone else. The departure is when the hero leaves for his or her journey. It also is called crossing the threshold. So they've refused to go, something has convinced them to go, and they've packed all their stuff. They've made arrangements for what they're leaving behind, and they start their journey. That was pretty self explanatory. Trials. This is what challenges the hero faces along the way of the journey. They can be physical or emotional trials, or it's a series of tests that the hero has to face or has to pass before he or she makes it to the end of the story. Approach. When the setbacks occur or the trials occur, the hero has to change his or her approach oftentimes because what they were planning on doing gets interrupted or gets tweaked, and it's not going to work anymore. So they have to change the way that they attack their journey, so to speak. There is oftentimes a realization or an aha moment that happens to help with the changing of the hero's approach. And a lot of times they receive help from another character, for example, the mentor or the magician or the mother figure will give some help along the way to help get through the trials. Crisis. This is the supreme ordeal. Again, can be physical or emotional. It makes the hero feel as if he or she has failed or will fail. It's the hero's darkest hour. It's the moment when he thinks he's not going to make it, or he realizes that if he doesn't, everything is going to be ruined. The treasure is the reward that the hero gets for getting through his or her crisis or crises if he goes through multiple. It can be an object or it can be something more like an idea, love or friendship or something like that. Result. The result happens when the hero returns to his ordinary world, the status quo, with the treasure that he has won along the way. He gets to share his treasure with the world. It can be something as simple as the world's not going to explode. That's the treasure. He saved the world, so he gets to go back home and the world doesn't end. And he gets to share that with everyone in the world because they also don't end with the world. Sometimes the people in in the status quo into the ordinary world. Sometimes they know what the hero has done, sometimes they don't. The return is when the hero returns back to his normal, ordinary world, his status quo. Things are different for him, though, even if they aren't quite different enough or different for everyone, even if they don't know what the hero has been through. He, if the story is written correctly, will feel differently, or she will feel differently because of the changes that they have gone through. And after returning home, the hero gets to start a new life. How the new life changes from the status quo at the beginning depends on how the character changes through the journey that he or she goes through. This does show the growth, emotional growth throughout the story, and sometimes physical growth as well goes along with that. If somebody has to, beef up and be all hunky for a particular story in order to win at the end. The resolution is how life continues past the return and the result. How does the hero's life change? Does he celebrate a day of like? Is there a celebration like a Harry Potter day for Harry Potter the hero, or um, the like, do they move to a different town, or do they have to learn a new way of doing things, find new friends, marry someone else, whatever the resolution is for the hero and how he continues his life after the end of his journey. The hero's journey is often in a cycle, especially if there are sequels to a story that you're reading. And it may mean that in the resolution that the process starts over again or begins to start over again for the hero. This is a graphic organizer for the hero's journey cycle, just to show you how it works. Some of these words are different from what I gave you, but the idea is the same. So your hero starts at number 1 in the ordinary world, the status quo, receives a call to adventure and crosses the threshold, leaving on a journey that he's going to experience. This is the departure here. The trials is under number 4 here, test allies and enemies. The approach, which changes based on the test allies and enemies. And then the ordeal, which is a synonym for the crises. So it's that supreme ordeal, it's that lowest part of the hero's journey. The reward for getting through the crises. And then a lot of times, this one we didn't talk about, but it's the propelling event. It's what kind of gears the hero's decision-making process after the crisis has been averted, or what the hero has to go through in order to realize that he still has an option of winning. And the climax here is the big event of the story. This is where bad guy and good guy fight. This is where the hero accomplishes something, whatever he set out to do, or he fails at whatever he set out to do at the beginning there. And the resolution incorporates the reward, the result, and the resolution all kind of here in number 10. And this little arrow means that at the end, it often starts over again. And we just go through this unending cycle of the hero's journey. All right. So hopefully you have your notes taken now over the hero's journey. And you can start your assignment. So go see the teacher, Mrs. Stottsberry, and I'll give you the assignment.